Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM, and if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, how about giving this video a like and maybe subscribing to the channel to help us grow, and perhaps even check out our Patreon. Today we've come to Rustival, the show organised by fellow YouTubers. I drive a classic, furious driving and hub nut, and it is a massive show with some 850 cars in attendance, all of which are very well eclectic. So I'm here with this, which has made it amazingly, to meet a load of you guys and to have a look around the show.
Of course though, we didn't start there. We started here at Caffeine and Machine, where we'd spent the night.
So it's really good news. The truck's still outside and the breakfast looks awesome.
Just saying that my colleagues were excited about today was an understatement. And having demolished our breakfast, it was time to head off and get to the show.
Road ends in 3, 2, 1, blue lights. And so amazingly, we made it to Rustival. The truck is parked up, the show is about to start, there are people here already, and I am frankly amazed we got this far. Really pleased.
And with that, we wandered off into the show and started finding things that we really liked.
So this is one of the first things that we saw as we came in, literally as we were coming round to park. Rover SD1 Vitesse. Don't see many of them, obviously. It's just one of those cars that seems to have a fairly timeless design. So it always draws your attention, looking nice in this Moonraker blue as well.
Right next to Tom's SD1 is this amazing white Scirocco, and it is gorgeous. It's clean, the interior is amazing. And honestly, my favourite feature of this car is it's got a white Scirocco with the same interior in the Scirocco. They're the same. It's very pretty. I really like this.
Now, I don't particularly want the Rover version of this, but the first car I ever owned was a Mini Metro, which is the predecessor to this thing. And there's something about that being the first one ever. I'd have a Rover, Mini, whatever this is. There's something about the first car you ever own that I regret getting rid of it. I really do, and I want that. See, it will take me back to my first ever car, which is now part of that scrapyard in the sky.
I also like, well, both of these, honestly. This is just a very clean, classic Mini. It looks brilliant in the black. It's actually kind of weird to see one in just one colour. Normally they're very brightly coloured with a different colour roof, that whole thing going on. It's nice, I really like it. It's subtle? I don't know, but the black with the chrome sets off beautifully. And this is it's a Nissan Figaro, which is actually a Nissan Micra that they built in a different factory and made to look old. There's like a series of 3 cars that they did this with. There's a van that looks like a snail, and there's a little hatchback thing. I like it, it's cool, it's cute. And if you want a classic that isn't a classic, doesn't have like the reliability issues and all that, this, although they're now getting old enough that they're a classic in their own right, so, it's cool.
Undoubtedly, the best car here is the humble MR2, the SW20, because the engine is in the right place. You can take your partner away for a weekend in it. It goes like stink. It is phenomenally good looking. It's just a great GT car. Go anywhere, do anything, totally practical and beautiful. One of the best cars ever made. They're great, which is why I've got 2.
So we walk past this old Omega. Few giveaways that we reckon it might be an ex-undercover police car. Going by the lights, we've got an extra aerial on the roof. Whether or not it is genuinely an old police car, whether it's one that somebody's made to look like one, nobody knows. but these are quite special to me because we had one when I was young for quite a while, so it's one of them cool cars, has a place in my heart.
Of all the cars here which are kind of unexceptional, the Sierra is one of them, but it's also, I think, the car that I want most out of everything I've seen, because the Sierra, the estate, is the car that Mum had when I was growing up. A Sierra in grey was the car that I learnt to drive in, and because of that, I really, really desperately have a longing for a Sierra. I want to get back in one, I want to have one again, because it's the car that means so much to me, because I learnt to drive in it. There's so many of my childhood memories sitting, playing with the steering wheel, are in a Sierra. So I want a Sierra.
So this is a Honda S660. It is the successor to the Honda Beat, which obviously used to be called the S660 Beat. The amount of these that I've seen on YouTube and on the internet, and you think, yeah, cool little car, it's only when you see one in person you realise quite how small they are. Like, I am squatting down and my head is still at roof height. The dangerous thing is that both me and Lozz have walked past this and seen the for sale sign in it. So we're going to have to try and not leave with this, but very cool.
It would fit in Jupes.
It would fit in Jupes. I'm sure we would find a way. We could probably lift it onto the roof, it's that light.
One car that I am going to acquire at some point in the not too distant future is a Prelude. Prelude are cool. Firstly, they're proper grandad spec inside. They are comfy. Secondly, it has pop-ups, and pop-ups are cool. And thirdly, and the most important thing about this, is it has four-wheel steer. And none of your modern electronic trickery. This is mechanical four-wheel steer that only engages when you're going slowly, so you can park and do tight corners. Once you go over a certain speed, the mechanical system kicks in and the rear wheels lock straight. It is, my friends, entirely magic. I have no understanding how the four-wheel steer system works on these cars at all, apart from it's awesome, and I really, really desperately need one. This isn't a want, I need one of these in my life.
When your Volkswagen Beetle is too heavy, it's a Baja bug. You can't call it a Myers-Manx because there's like 300 different bodies by different people, and I don't have a clue what's what. I know Myers-Manx was a big one, but it's a Volkswagen Beetle that's turned into a beach buggy, and it is very cool. I don't think I'd want to take it off-road though. It's fiberglass, and there's very little in the way of protection of anything. So doing anything more than driving around a car park, I think, would be terrifying. Still, it's very cool.
I've always had a super soft spot for the MG-TF because it really marks the end of a generation. It's the last of the MGs, but also, with the exception of the MX-5, which is just apparently immortal and keeps being made, this is like the last of the two-seater, fun, cheap convertible. They're not a thing anymore. You'll have cars which are, converted and made into a convertible version, but that was a convertible car designed and developed from a Mini Metro. But that's a proper convertible, and they just don't exist anymore. Like, tell me a fun mid-engine car that exists today. They're not. That's the end of a generation, and they're cool. As is that. That is lovely. Cavalier.
So the latest trend with a lot of new cars is obviously they release a new model, but then they bring a name back from the company's history. That couldn't be more obvious here. We've got an MG ZS and we've got an MG ZS. Only slightly different, but the original and what they bring out now. I think Ford have done it as well with quite a few of their newer cars. They're bringing out bringing the names back for a car that's nothing like the original, but there's a perfect example of it. Happen to be parked next to each other.
Now, this isn't my Lotus. My Lotus is an Elite, which is the predecessor to the predecessor of the Excel, although my Elite sits on an Excel chassis. These are exceedingly cool and pretty cars. I just love this generation of Lotus, and frankly, I would still have an Excel. They're awesome, awesome cars. It's fiberglass. It's on a single chassis that comes down the back. The fiberglass gives it the strength. It's just such a cool design, and by the time they got to the Excel, they'd got something which is maybe one of the best cars Lotus ever made, and I would have that in a heartbeat.
This is a Holden HSV, I think, or a Vauxhall VXR8, or it's made by GM. It's the same thing, but you take a large saloon, put a stonking great V8 in it with a supercharger, and then do big skiddy burnouts and things. I've seen videos of these on YouTube, especially in Australia where they're popular doing their thing, and it's amazing. It's amazing. They just smoke everywhere, big V8 noises. It's hysterical fun. I want one of these. This is big money though. These are not cheap, especially as you'd have to import them because they don't sell them in the UK.
I discovered that I quite like French stuff, and prime amongst that is Citroën, particularly the BX, because look at it. This machine is a box with some vague curvaceous things going on, but most importantly, it has Citroën's magic suspension, so you can go and join the slam crowd and put it down on the ground and be part of that cool scene. And then if you come across anything, you just lift it up. It's just so cool, and they are so ludicrously comfy. I love the BX. It's such a statement. And in white, like generally I don't like white cars, but that is amazing. I also like the fact it's got the covers on the rear wheel, meaning that if you want to change the rear wheel, you need to jack it all the way up on the suspension to get enough clearance to get the rear wheel off. But that's almost a show winner for me. That's wonderful.
So this is a very early Lotus Esprit. Very cool. Back when everything was wedge shaped, that typical wedge shaped sports / supercar design. You don't realise until you're next to them quite how blooming low they are. But as far as we're aware, this was a 4-cylinder when they used to slant them over. Very cool car.
I have a massive soft spot for Moggies, and every time I see a Moggie, it makes me really upset to think of the stage of my one that's sat rotting away inside the shed. And at one point, I will get onto it and make it look like one of these, because it's awesome. It's a classic car that's practical. You can use it estate. There are millions of spares available. And look at it, it's just so cute. And this one's even got a sunshade, and I like that.
This is a BMW Z4. It shouldn't be a mystery that. I really like them, and honestly, I think they're a little underappreciated at the moment. It's a 3-litre 6-cylinder. They sound amazing. It doesn't weigh much. It's got the convertible fun, and they actually handle really well. And according to online, they have a 50-50 weight distribution. That being said, that could be measured with the 4-cylinder, which the engine's a bit further back, so the 6-cylinder might not be. But I think they're really underappreciated, and I think they're going to be on the rise soon, to be honest. Might be a good time to think about picking one up. I'm also on Facebook Marketplace at the moment.
I have a massive soft spot for this generation of MG. I love the TF, the ZR, the ZS, and the ZTT. It's one of the best looking estates I think ever made. Also, it's kind of sporty and fun, but practical. It takes everything that's good about the Rover 75 and makes it cooler, and I like it. Also, this one's for sale, so I've had my wallet confiscated.
So this caught our attention as we walked past it. Obviously we thought it was a Morgan 3-wheeler. It's not, it's a Tri-King. That's all I can tell you. I don't know anything more about it. But obviously front engine V-twin, still rear wheel drive. The most terrifying thing is the speedo goes up to 170. I don't know what its top speed is, but I think 50 is probably all I'd fancy.
There are many cars I really like. This generation of Micra is not one that normally would interest me, but the paint on this, the paint job is amazing, and the fact it's done to a Micra is just brilliant. That is a work of genius. Absolute wonderful. I love it.
This is a Toyota Pro Box. You don't see them over here. This is a Japanese import. They're sold in Japan as normally direct to businesses as like a car for their staff. So whether that's like traveling salesmen, businessmen going from here and there and all that kind of stuff. And it is designed exclusively for that sort of like purpose. It's big, it's boxy, it has plenty of room in the back for whatever the hell you need to transport. It's got a tray table thing that pulls out with a pen hole and all that so you can do your paperwork. It is entirely designed around business and work. And if you ever go to Japan, you'll see these all over the place. All over the place. It's like their equivalent of a, I don't know, 3 Series. They're just everywhere.
This is so pretty. Now, it's a sub, and they were fitted, one of the engine options, I think one of the options was 2-stroke, but the other one was a V4. Yes. It's so pretty, and also the spotlights, having proper fog lights on the back going, look at it, it's sporty, it's cool, it's just... I want one of these. Really, really want one. I can. I don't know where I'll put it, but I'll have one.
So obviously we've got a Lancia Stratos. At least that's what we thought it was until we walked round it, realised the panel gaps are even, so it's definitely not a Lancia. And upon looking it up, it is indeed a kit car, 1989, 3-litre engine in it, very cool.
Now, most of you would know that my Peugeot 106 I have because it was my nan's car, and I love that car so much, not just because I think they're brilliant, but because it was a link to my nan. Before the 106, she had a 205. Now, I equally love the 205 because it was Nan's car, and I want a 205 just to jump back into that world of being out with my Nan. And frankly, they're also really fun cars. I remember at the time, there was a choice between the 106 and the 205, and I was like, well, the 106 is newer and cooler, I'll go for that. And now I kind of wish I'd had a 205.
I don't know what this is. I didn't know what this is. It's really cool. It's big, it's beige, it's very obviously American. Looking at the badge originally, I thought it was a Cadillac, but it's not. It's a DeSoto. According to the ticket on the windscreen, it's a 1948 DeSoto 4-door custom. It's big, it's American, it's beige. I really like it. Lots of chrome. Yes, please.
Now, it's true to say that I have definitely become a sucker for French stuff because I love that. That is stunningly cool. Again, on the Magic suspension, very, very cool. And also, I really like the XM. That's cool. I love the rear shape of that. I keep looking on Facebook Marketplace and things for an XM. I don't know why. I don't need one. And they're a massive car, but I just, oh, look at the TVR. That's also cool. Now, I fully accept there is something wrong with me when I really like that TVR, but I'd actually rather have the XM. And I know that's not the logical or right decision, but I really want an XM. In fact, I'm going to go back onto Facebook Marketplace after we film this and go look for XMs again. And I don't know why I have this desire, but I really want one of those. If anybody's got an XM they want to get rid of, you know, drop me a message.
So if you want something to have a laugh on a decent back road at the weekend, you cannot go wrong with a Lotus. 410 horsepower in a car that weighs as little as this, that is a recipe for joy. Can't go wrong with a Lotus.
It's well established by now that I like Reliant. I love three-wheelers. I love going out in them, I love playing with them, and I love my Rialto. What people don't necessarily realise is Reliant made these, the Scimitar, which is frankly one of the best looking cars I think ever made. It is stunningly pretty. I just want one. Look at that shape, it's glorious. I know it's quite similar maybe to my Elite, but what? Just look at it. Fascinating, brilliant. I don't suppose you knew this, but Princess Anne had one. This
is an automatic Renault Twingo. And this is a manual Renault Twingo. Okay, I really like the Twingo. It's a tiny little French city car, designed perfectly for that. But look at it, it's adorable. It's so happy, it's friend-shaped. Or it looks like a frog. It's friend-shaped.
I have a massive soft spot for Americana. Cars of this generation from America, land barges. I mean, we are about a mile away from this thing, and it's still huge. I love it. We know that it doesn't handle very well because it's not designed to do corners. We know that it's not particularly efficient to run. But it is a Lincoln Continental, and it has headlights hidden behind the grills at the front, and that's just so cool. I love that. I'd have one of these in a heartbeat. I know that objectively it's going to be not the most pleasant drive, but it's just so cool. I don't know what it is. It's just, I want that.
This is a tiny fluffy Volvo on a much bigger Volvo. That's really cool. Also, 836,984 miles. What? New cars die at like 30,000 miles.
I actually know the guy who owns this Bedford, and I love it. And it's not just the fact I love this particular van, because I think that having vans are really important to preserve, because lots of people have cars that we look after, but actually preserving a van, that's a real rarity. And also it shows what a great show Rustival is, because this is just at home tucked amongst all the other cars. That's great. And actually, surprise, surprise, I kind of want it.
I like this. This is a Citroen SM. It's very pretty. It's got a V6. I love the way that the front number plate is behind like the glass canopy. I don't know. It's just all style. It's so cool. I also think it's front wheel drive. I might be remembering that wrong, but I think they're front wheel drive. A front wheel drive V6. That's so pretty though. It's worth it. It's so pretty.
Next up, I'd been asked to be part of a talk on stage.
I've got to say, I've never felt so singly outclassed at being the last person to be introduced. And you'd look after museums. I ran a channel and just.
I tell you what, though, Lawrie, here you're probably the one everybody recognises. So that's true.
I don't do anything proper. I just muck around with old vehicles, which is about the best definition of what I do. Is I muck around with old vehicles and try and promote owning and looking after old vehicles and getting involved in heritage, whether that's railways or museums, and trying to showcase it in a positive way. There's so much negativity attached to railways, museums, and it doesn't really engage with the modern generation. And YouTube really does engage with people. So the idea was to try and promote these things and go, look, it's really fun. And also, I'm an idiot and I can do this. I can look after the fire engine over there. I can look after these cars. Look, it's just bolts. You guys can do it as well. And that's the whole ethos, is try and get people in. It's been really good because actually a load of people have come up to me, whether it's here or at railways, and go, oh, I've started volunteering, or I bought a car, or I bought a fire engine. That's a bad idea. But people have done that because they've seen it on the channel. So that's the whole point, is trying to get people in and interested in this hobby. Because if we don't, already, I'm in my 30s, if I don't bring the next generation in already, this whole thing, all these wonderful cars we see, everything in the museum in there, it'll all be for naught because people won't care.
So Jupiter is here. Is Jupiter here?
Jupiter's up there. It made it. This is the single furthest journey we think it's ever done in its life.
Wow.
Tom and Lozz quickly bored of hearing me speak and headed off to explore the Jaguar Museum, which was full of amazing cars.
I love this. This is a Jaguar Project 7, so Jaguar just went balmy and decided, let's take an F-Type and just go silly. It's not a convertible, it does not have a roof. And it also has this amazing sort of air duct thing. It's not a duct behind the driver, that it harks back to the old design of the D-Type Le Mans cars and things. And just the blue with the decals and the numbers and the everything. And it's not just a visual package, it does have bigger, stonkier, more powerful engine to it than the standard one. It's just, yes, I love this. I really love this.
So this is a 2004 Jaguar F1 car. It's actually David Coulthard's car that he drove that year. It's got the a proper V10 Cosworth engine in it. Back when F1 cars actually had decent engines, none of this hybrid rubbish where you can't hear a car. This is back in the day where you could hear them coming from a mile away at certain circuits. This, according to the seat, is not road registered. I wonder why. Also, its engine's out and it's over the back there.
This is a minigun. On the back of a Jaguar, honestly something, I'm not that hot on Jaguars. This was in Top Gear and some movie franchise thing. It was the bad guy's car. It's very, very cool with the minigun that retracts in and the missiles on the front that have a cover that hides them all. The problem is when you're the bad guy, don't have a number plate of bad 1. It gives the game away, especially after you spent so much money with your guns making them hide and everything. It's a silly move. When will they learn?
And whilst the guys continued to find more Jaguars that they admired, I was still merrily chatting away on stage.
Oh, that's brilliant. And Lawrie, what would you like to see more of in our celebration of our heritage?
I want to see more young people. I want to see more young people get involved. I want to see more of it being appealing to young people, and it not being, it's getting better, but I want to see being proud of being part of a museum or owning a vehicle to be more socially acceptable and not something that you feel. There's so many young people who like this stuff, but they're not able to get into it because they either feel that it's not cool or they don't feel like it's something they can. Because let's be honest, the skills that we learn at school are not anything that allows you to access this world. It's only if you know somebody or you've got a friend or a parent who will bring you into it. It's really hard to access, and that's what I want to see from all of it, that it becomes more accessible for young people, because there's so, we were talking earlier before we came on stage that young people aren't interested, and I totally disagree. Young people love this stuff, they just don't know how to get involved because there's no clear way for them to get involved in it. So we need to make those pathways into classic ownership, railways, museums, planes, whatever, buses.
I think it can be quite daunting if you...
When I'd finally finished talking long enough for the others to get a word in edgeway, we eventually finished our set on the stage and headed off to explore the British Motor Museum, taking with us our radio-controlled trucks. We expected to be stopped at the door, but we weren't, so we decided to add our vehicles to the displays inside the museum. And after a surprisingly long amount of time, the museum staff came up to us and told us that we'd had our fun and it was time to take the little vehicles and go back outside.
The thing I find really amazing is the BX is actually the most common car in show, and that's something that's just really weird.
Leaving me to watch over the radio-controlled vehicles and Jupes, the chaps returned for a better look inside the museum.
Believe it or not, this Mini has only done 11 miles. It's practically brand new. Yes. Okay, so this was built at Longbridge, big plant, made many Minis. And this was used to move employees around the site, bit of a taxi for the site itself. The story then goes that a container was dropped on it, kind of destroying it. So it was then pushed into one of the many sort of access tunnels underneath Longbridge, where parts were stolen off it, and then it was abandoned and forgotten and left. Many years later, after the Longbridge plant closed, urban explorers then went delving and found it, and it has since been dragged out. I think that makes it technically the last Mini to leave Longbridge. The newest classic Mini? Either way, only 11 miles on the clock. Obviously, it's basically perfect.
This is Lady Penelope's limousine from the 2004 Thunderbirds film. Just about every piece of information about it is classified. You can't find anything other than the supposed top speed, which is 200 miles an hour, which is probably only film-based, because, let's be honest, you've not got a chance. But for people who like Top Gear, I'm sure they'll remember that James May took this round, I believe, one of the narrowest villages in the UK, because twin steering axles on the front. The thing is, God knows how long, but it's, you know, it's a one of one. You're not going to see any of them. Seating for two in relative comfort, maybe. I mean, it looks comfortable, but let's be honest, you wouldn't want to be driving this anywhere, would you?
I really like this. This is Lotus Europa S2. It's just a pretty little car, but it looks like a pickup truck van kind of thing, but it's not. This is Lotus early, like delve into mid-engine design. Kind of like the Esprit, but before that. It's very cool, but very lightweight and only 78 horsepower. Adorable though. I really like this. This is incredibly cool and I desperately want one.
So here we've got a Jensen Interceptor. These, I know everyone says about the name, obviously it's probably one of the coolest names anyone has ever named a car, Interceptor, awesome. 6.6, 6.7 litre V8 I think, but it's not necessarily about the power, it's not about the speed, just look at it. You don't need to say anything else. It's a stunning looking piece of kit. I've not really seen many in person, but it's bigger than I thought. It's quite a large car, but it is very cool. I like it a lot. And I want one, but they're very expensive now.
We came here today with Lawrie in Jupes, a proper big fire engine. I think it's something like 11 tons fully laden. And now there's this! It's a Morris Minor fire engine. It doesn't even have a roof. It's an adorable little thing. I really like this. This is wonderful. And this isn't that much older than Jupes. Fire engines have changed.
So this is called a Lightning. It's a concept car. What I want to know is, why didn't they just make it? Look at it. I think it's got quite a few Jaguar parts in it. There's nothing on the sign actually saying who owned Lightning or who Lightning was as a company, but I'm sure they would have sold this if they'd put it into production. It's a proper nice looking thing and I want it.
Do you ever feel like your car's name is too long? It's just words, too many of them to say? At least you don't own this. This is a 1978 Austin Princess Ogle Triplex 1020 glassback. How do you fill that out on a form? You've got a box this long and a word this. It doesn't. Either way, this is really cool. It's a 2.3 litre 6-cylinder engine, about 100 horsepower. It's mad. I don't know whether it's because of the colours with the rainbow and the whole like thing. I just really like it. Also, it says Ogle on the side. Who thought that's not a good Ogle? Ogle. Whatever.
And on that high of the automotive age, the chaps returned to me, where I had been left unsupervised and was having some fun.
I don't understand how these EV work. Right. Shall we leave it there for like 3 weeks? Might have enough power to get home. Actually, they do this in fire stations. They put them on charge to keep everything ready, hot and able to go. So this isn't actually as stupid as it seems. Actually, it kind of is. And that brings us to the end of the day here at Rustival. It has been an amazing show. We've seen so many cars and met so many of you wonderful people. We're just warming the truck up now, ready for our 4 and a bit hour trip back home. It's been quite a day. I have seen so many vehicles and didn't even get to see all of the show. So, as that warms up, if you have enjoyed this, how about clicking over there or over there for other adventures? Well, I guess it looks like I've got a long walk home because my fire engine's been stolen by Tom. So, thanks all very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I guess he's coming back.